Our daddy ain't raised no punks. He's not raising no punks. And what
Yes, y'all, Jesus man be ballin'. Ain't talking Jordan, corner rocks Spalding. Enemy, Bruiser Hill, now we on our balls limp. He won't let him get the best of me, he crossed him. We gonna have to talk about this revelation. He's saving souls, coming back, no hesitation. Raising graves, keep your flower decorations. Doing things eyes never seen with this protection. Now that we got this.
y'all about to get this work raw just like this, just as it is. I put in a little headphone, but our daddy ain't raised no punks. He's not raising no punks. And when I say our dad, I'm talking about the Lord, our Father who art in heaven. Hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. This is like really raw because I literally this has been ongoing for like 3 days. And I'm in a season that's like, and when I say, I mean that emoji that's like it's blowing smoke. Like that's how I feel. And our dad is not raising no punks, and he not about to let us punk out. That's what he's not about to do. And I'm gonna give y'all Bible, but I feel like if I wait to get like all showered, dressed up, fixed, set up the camera perfectly, whatever, I'm not gonna do this live, and I just want to shoot this raw just like this. So this is the angle, this is the look. I was just like straightening up my room after quiet time because I was in quiet time for hours last night. Went to bed like almost 5 something this morning, and then I got up and got straight into prayer and needed this work again from the Lord, right? Yeah. So y'all, I've been like, Lord, regarding the promises that you have spoken to me over my life, I'm not seeing no fruit. I'm not even seeing the evidence of it almost coming to pass right now, right? Sorry if that light that behind me is glaring, but we're gonna have to pay it, right? I'm not even seeing, like, where you at? I'm looking for it. And the other day, on the 28th or something, I was in Ecclesiastes chapter 9, verse 11, because I've been taking chances. I've been showing up for opportunities, but I haven't been getting it. And so I asked the Lord, I was like, Lord, I'm taking chances. I'm showing up for opportunities. I am not just allowing opportunities to pass me by. I'm not just like waiting for the perfect anything. I'm not watching the clouds. I'm sowing seeds. I'm doing this. And I don't see nothing. Why am I not getting chosen? Why am I not chose out here? Even though we are chosen. And the Lord was just like, our Father said in the most parental and loving Father way that it's just not your time. Because Ecclesiastes 9:11 says this. I'm not going to be here before long. I got a quick word. I want to get this out for some of you who might be in the same season as me, who might be going through this season of enduring, of us learning to be enduring wives, because we're married to the Lamb of God, right? And you might be in the very same season as me. And it's been a long season, okay, honey? It ain't been no 1, 2. This is a season, okay? And we're in a season, but we're in a cycle that seems familiar, except that this time that we're in this cycle, and we're like, no, God, I already know how this is. I'm going to stand 10 toes down on your word. And so we're wrestling not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and rulers in high places, you know what I'm saying, in the spirit. And we're like, we can't do the same thing that we did before. We can't just step out and go on unbelief. We can't just go back to our old ways. We just can't go back to what we used to do. We can't react the same. And we're trying. I don't know about y'all, but I'm trying. Because it was the way I act. And I'm trying like really, really hard, like to just, submit to the Lord and resist the devil, meaning submit my feelings to him, submit to God, let him know how I feel, crying to him. I'm praying, I'm fasting, I'm doing all the things to stay 10 toes down, to fortify my faith, fortify my faith. You know what I'm saying? I'm on my Zoom. On my Zoom. And still I'm like, God, I'm showing up for opportunities. I'm showing up for stuff. And I'm not getting chose, because Ecclesiastes 9 verse 11 says, the race is not to the swift, nor the battle to the strong, nor the bread to the wise, nor riches to men of understanding, nor favor to men of skill. I'm not here sharpening my skill, getting better at designing, writing, editing, content, all the things. Right? Yeah. On my Zoom. Y'all, I don't look it when I look in the mirror, but in the spirit realm, like if I don't put myself face in front of a mirror, I feel like I look like Angelica. And Angelica doll, not Angelica, Angelica from Rugrats doll Cynthia, like with missing hair pieces, because I be in here like ready to pull it out, you know. I feel like I look like Cynthia sometimes. Because I feel snatched in the spirit. I feel snatched, bald in the spirit by this season, this endurance season of standing in righteousness for God, standing 10 toes down, doing what you know what you should do as a believer, walking in purity, standing in righteousness before the Lord, knowing that I can go and do whatever, but I'm choosing to die to myself every day. I feel like I look like Cynthia dying to myself every day. It ain't no game. It ain't no game to be out here just slaughtering yourself. Watch me whip. It's like SpongeBob meme. I want to give you guys the words, but I need visuals. But again, it says it's not, the battle is not to the race is not to the swift. So it don't matter how fast you run. It don't matter if you Usain Bolt. No. If it ain't your time, it ain't your time. It don't matter if you caught Beezle, Johnny Bravo, Order, Source, and Negro. Won't matter. Not your time, not your time. You can be filled with wisdom in mathematics, in how to sell and how to make offers and whatever. Have all the wisdom. You still ain't getting that bread. Why? Because it ain't your time. I'm going to get to it. And you can have all the understanding on how to save and how to budget, but you still won't get the riches. Why? Because it ain't your time. Okay. Then it says, nor favor to men of skill. Like, God's like, you won't even get favor if you're skilled in the area. If you have expertise, if you have prowess, you're not getting it, nor favor. But here we go. It says, but time and chance happen to them all. Time and chance. When I looked up time, let me get my journal, and chance, they sort of, in this context, they sort of both mean the same thing. Yeah, I looked it up. Because I'm trying to get understanding of what's happening to me here. I'm trying to get understanding of why, Lord, why? Because I was crying just last night, crying. Why? The word chance is pagai, and time is eighth, right? Now, chance means, in the Hebrew Strong Concordance, occurrence, happening, chance. Time, eighth, means time of an event. Time, it also means experiences, fortunes, occurrence, occasion. So chance means occurrence, happening, chance, and time means occurrence. The two have to be in alignment. So chances and opportunities may be coming and presenting themselves to us, but it's not our time. Because in the most loving way, our Father who are in heaven, who's not raising any punks. Because if you operating in unbelief, you kind of punking out. I'm just trying to be transparent and trying to be a believer that says, Lord, help me. That say, Lord, I believe, but help me with my unbelief. You know. Do you like it? Do you like it? Like I have a whole bunch of... Sorry, y'all. Right? So time and chance sort of means the same thing. They both have to occur at the same level, at the same time. They have to meet. So you may be having opportunities, but your time is not meeting the opportunities. And you might be showing up. You might have the experience. You might have strength. You might have wisdom. You might have skill, but it's not your time. And God, the Lord said that to me in the most loving way. And I was like, all right, God. All right. Like I felt good in that moment when he said, it's not about you not taking chances, Nina. It's just not your time, baby girl. I said, okay. That was on the 28th. So last night at 10:41 after, I had prayer earlier that morning. I woke up and prayed. I've been waking up, going straight into prayer. I've been waking up, putting it on the full armor of God. I've been waking up. Y'all know I got my new book that's out. Fire Torch Prayers. The Priestcraft Volume 1, out right now. You can get it. Link will be in the description. Link is in my bio. Wherever this video, you see this video, the link is there. Right? I produced it July 23rd. It dropped. It's out. The Lord had me crafting this last year. I'm praying the prayers. I'm doing my daily devotions. I'm reading my word. I'm being a scroll eater before I feed anything. I'm fortifying my faith, right? And then last night, then yesterday, I'm like, I do something called a have done list that I was taught, and it's also going to be in one of my other projects that I'm dropping. A have done list, because y'all know I'm the stewardess of stewards and the stewardess of stewardship, and I teach you how to be productive. And I'm writing my have done list, and I'm getting so much. I'm accomplishing so much this week. And it's like the moment that I finish writing that have done list, and I got 2 more things I got to do, because I'm breezing and I'm swift through the day out here, right? Crossing up procrastination. I'm crossing up stagnation, falling back, shooting and fade away. I'm cold on them, right? Jordan, tongue out. I'm doing it. And then I do the have done list, and I'm checking off the things I did. And something gut-wrenching happens. A feeling of shame, a feeling of you suck, thoughts, feelings of you suck, you ain't doing enough, you still ain't profitable, you doing all this, arrows coming, boom, 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 pop, 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 pop. Enemy trying to air out the block. And I prayed for 45 minutes when I woke up. I was doing good, and then I just fell. Mind you, I was also fasting. So that probably had a lot to do with it also, of course. It was the last day. I've done better fast, I guess. I don't know how you could ever do a good or bad fast, but I've had better fasting days, times. And I just shut down. I didn't want to do the rest of my work. I was like really battling in my mind to get back productive, because it's like he stole off on me and I didn't even see him coming. Like if I'm looking at you guys, it's like the enemy just came. He was like running down the block, and he just cocked back. And he jumped in the air and was like boom, like just got me. And I'm looking like here, and I'm just like, yeah, I'm getting it. And it was like a knockout. I stumbled. I got back up though. I failed, I got back up. But I was in the daze. I was in the daze, and I needed to go sit in the corner. Ooh. I was in the daze, and it was like ding, 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 ding. Because we boxing. It was like ding, 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 ding. I had to go sit. I had to go to my corner. I was in it. I was like, good. It's like stars. Looney Tunes. I was dazed. It came out of nowhere. Just as I'm on track of being productive. And so I went and I sat in my quiet time. And you know how if you are a boxer, I've never been a boxer, but you watch movies like, you know, Rocky or whatever. You see Muhammad Ali fight, all the boxers, MMA, whatever. And they're in the corner and they have like their coach who's helping them. And they're like, maybe you need to call it quits. Maybe you need to throw in the towel. They putting the stuff on their eye to heal their eye, to open up their eyes. They giving them the stuff to smell. They making them spit in the bucket, you know, blood, whatever. You good? You good? Can you see? Can you see? And I'm like, yeah, I can see. I can see. And God's like, are you crying? I'm like, no, I'm happy. This is my happy face. I can see. I can go back out and get it. Right? I'm like, I can see. One eye swollen because he stole off on me, the enemy. Like, came out of nowhere. And I was like, I'm going to at least create what I need to create for my email series that I got coming up. And it's called the Winning Mindset series. And here I am when I'm about to launch something called the Winning Mindset series for September. The enemy coming, calling me a loser, right? Creating a burn book about you, being mean girls, because he catty. He real catty. And it's called Winning Mindset. So I said, you know what? Let me work on the flyer for it. Let me work on some visuals for it. Let me try and do that, because I was supposed to go live yesterday. I didn't go. I had 2 things to do. I didn't do. I was like, I'm not doing that. Let me just. I didn't set up the email. I was like, let me. And so I did that, and I felt alright, but I still had like a swollen eye and this gut wrenching feeling of failure. Of why is it not my time? Why am I doing all the things? Why is it not my time? Why is it not my time? It's like the enemy is also, not only am I asking, but there's like an echo of a mocker. They call them a just, like a joker, like a just in the king's court. And he's sitting there so if I'm like, why is it not my time, God? And he's like, yeah, beating me in the head, like, yeah, why it's not your time? Why it's not your time? Why it's not your time? Aha, it's not your time. And like, it's like so much going on. And I finally, I think I went on TikTok, went to do something, and I seen somebody, very, very excited for them, that a promise the Lord promised me has came to pass. They're younger than me. We've been saved about the same time. I'm not comparing my walk to other people. We shouldn't compare our walk. We don't know what people go through. But it's not just them. It's other people that I had to minister to and witness to. And I seen what the Lord literally pulled them out of. Like, they was fresh in it. He pulled them from out of the fire, and he set them right into the promise. And I'm just like, and I didn't even know if those people was wanting. And I'm like, yo, I've been Lord. And so I was trying to brace myself, like, yeah, I'm ready to get back up and get in the ring. And I couldn't. I just started bawling. BAWLING. Bawling my eyes out. I could not stop. I mean, crying, like tears, snot nose, crying. And the why that I was asking internally, it came out in my journal. And I was just like this. I went in there and I put crying out to my dad. Why is it not my time yet? I heard you clearly on what you spoke to me yesterday about chance and time in Ecclesiastes 9:11. But why? Why not? Why is it not my time to have a winning or successful product? Why is it not my time to have an successful business or service? Why is it not my time to be dating in purity, engaged or married? Why not, God? Why? Why is it not Nina time? Why is it not my time? I don't know your name. You might be saying anything like, why not? Because God said, I love that you taking chances. I love that you showing up. I love that you walking in purity. I love that you standing 10 toes down. I love that you pray before all things, because things come at me and you pray, but sometimes you still get beaten down, because you got to understand that you can pray, and the more you pray, the more you're going to be attacked. The more you're going to have to keep running, right, to your strong tower, because the righteous run into the name of the Lord. So the more you run, the enemy's going to keep making you run back home, and you starting to feel like a punk, like you need to buck up. And God's like, no, you better come on home. You need to run it. The righteous. The name of the Lord is your strong tower, and the righteous run into it. So you better keep running home, because your daddy got something for them. And if they pull up over here, this is the stand your ground area, and I'm letting off. That's what the Lord says. But I'm feeling like a punk. Like, why? Because the enemy is trying to get you from stop running into the place of God and just stand there and complain. He's even allowed you to run to your strong tower, but stand next to it, not pray, not read your word, not fast, not do none of the things that you should be doing. Right? I don't know how that looks. Okay. If it's dark, I'm sorry, you all. But, you know. So I'm asking him, why? And I just started breaking down. I mean, I'm out here crying. I said, I've been seeing what you've been doing for others younger than me, those I called to minister, and yet here I am. Here I am to worship. I said, you tell me in your word to become what I believe. It's what Jesus said to the blind man. I said, Lord, I believe I do. Help me, though, with my unbelief. And here we go. The Lord is saying a lot of us don't believe. We're asking, why is it not our time? Because God said you don't believe. And if I put you in the thing if I give you what I promise you, and you have this still hardened heart because of unbelief, you're going to get there and you still won't even be sustained. I care about you enough to get you to the place of belief. See, when God says it's not our time, he is saying that we are not on his time, meaning we are not on his frequency, his sequence of where we need, because we know that God is outside of time. But God's time is a fourth dimension. It talks about how Enoch walked with God. Psalm 116:9, I believe, says you shall walk in submissive wonder before the Lord. Submissive wonder, meaning you fully rest and fully rely and fully trust in God, and you wonder how he's going to do it this time. You're not like, why? Like, I wonder how they're going to do it this time. Surprise me. And he led me to the answer. He talked about how his creation, man, is God's zenith of his creation. We're his peak of creation because we have his image. And that the enemy always comes wailing on us because we have the image of God. And because we have the image of God, he's always going to attack us because we're the epicenter. I'm going to share the clip of where I learned this from too, because he let me, after I was crying and writing those answers, I said, because I asked him before I got to the answer, I said, Lord, is this not the zenith time for me? The high peak time, the perfect timing, the perfect opportunity? Is it not? And right when I did that, he had me go and look up zenith again. And zenith refers to achieving a state of order in society. Zenith is to receive a state of order. The Lord said, you out of order. Order in the court. Boom, boom, boom. You out of order. Your heart is out of order. Your belief is out of order. You're out of order. You want things out of order. You want things before you even fully, truly believe the things, because I can do it for you and you still will not receive it and you still won't know who I am. You're out of order. He said, you don't even know that you are the zenith. Oh, that's Shabakoshete. You are the zenith of my creation. You're waiting for the zenith time, but baby, you're the zenith. Y'all, I was red to filth and then clean back up. We are the zenith of God's creation. We are the highest peak. We are the state of order to bring order to God's creation. And he said, you're waiting for the zenith time, but baby, it's you. It's when you get in order is your zenith time. I said, Dad, I believe you led me to the answer through Zenith, an article that someone wrote. I read it, right? And then I saw this video and it talks about how we are the epicenter of communication to God. So it's not, this is why us being poor and in poverty is evil. Us being sick is wicked. Anything that's not in the order of how God originally intended and created is wicked and evil, because the enemy, the man said, and I'm gonna put the link in the video, he said if God had put his image on a plant, the enemy would not even be attacking men. If he put his image on an animal, the enemy would not be attacking man. But because we have God's image, which is the character, we have the potential. Our zenith time is when we get to the place, to the character, to the mind of Christ. That's when it's your time. So you taking chances, but baby, you haven't transfigured. You haven't come into the likeness fully of him. Even though you have his image, you do not recognize it. And the enemy keep whooping on us, and the video said that the enemy plan was always to run a parallel government to God, because the kingdom of God is we know it's a government, right? We did a video in a resource house. I hope you guys catch up. It's okay. About how the kingdom of God and the kingdom of heaven is two different things, right? We are the kingdom of God. The kingdom of heaven is government, right? And the enemy plan was to run a parallel government so we can no longer be a part of God's government and serve him. And the way we no longer part of God's government is when we don't believe him and we believe the lies of the enemy and we serve the enemy. And that's what he's doing, because he wants those who have the image. The enemy is mad that we have the image of God, that he impressed the image of God, because the enemy never had the image of God. He was his creation, but he still never had the image of God. And so if God would have put his image on a rock, he would not even be bothered with us. And so because now we have his image, which is his character, but we need to get the mind of Christ. So everything that we are going through is to get the character of God in this season, because God is looking for fruit, and for us to have the mind of Christ, to have the likeness of his son. And when we do this, we are now at the zenith of creation, right? And so therefore they were saying that we are the epicenter for communication to God. So Satan uses us, he oppresses us through contention against God's sovereignty, to say there's still contention that he can cause on God's sovereignty. So when we are going through something, this is Satan communicating to God like, he's trying to make a mockery of God. But he uses us because he knows that God responds to us. He don't fool around with that. But we fool around with Satan. We allow him to do these things. But when God starts blessing us and showing miracles and revealing his arm, who have believed our report, who have the arm of the Lord been revealed, he starts blessing us miracles, signs, and wonders through our life. That's his response to Satan. That says, fall back, small back. So when you understand that you're a communication ground, that you're an epicenter, let's even look up what epicenter means, y'all, real quick. The epicenter. The epicenter is the point on the earth's surface vertically, because this is how we need to be with God, right? Worship got to come vertical before it could come like this. And I just came from this, right? The point of the earth's surface vertically above the focus of an earthquake, the zenith. It's the central point of something, typically a difficult or unpleasant situation. So sometimes we are at the epicenter of the epicenter of the endurance season, of warfare, of oppression. Why? And when you're enduring more, you have to understand that you gotta know that there's gonna be a response from God, and there's something about your image, about the level of zenith of the creation of God that God has for you in the character. If you achieve that thing, if you reach this, if you get there, if you graduate and you come out of, if you pass this cycle that you went through several times before and you finally come into the new season, the enemy's going to have a problem. And I don't like to be like new levels, new devils, because they always going to be there. But there's going to be new levels of warfare, and you're going to have to know how to war better. You're going to have a different state of mind. You're going to need to transfigure. You need to come up higher. And the enemy has a problem with that. And so when that is going on, may it be you or whoever's the priest of your family, and they're waging war on your family and your finances and everything, your children and everything that's going on, it's because something is about to come up, and the enemy is trying to send a message to God to say, I thought you were sovereign, and he's trying to get you to serve him instead of God. Jesus, right? And so when we are oppressed and things are going through, he's sending a message to God to cause contention in God's sovereignty. And so this is why Romans 8 speaks that all creation is waiting in expectations for the sons of God to be revealed, in eager expectation. Creation is in bondage because the sons of God is in bondage. But because we have the image of God, when we are free and we are revealed, then we will also free creation. Read Romans 8 that everybody love. God said it's not the zenith time. It's not that it's not your time. It is that I am the zenith of God. And the way the enemy tries to get us to choose him is to weaken us even more by not submitting ourselves to the Lord, by not submitting our feelings, not crying. We try to keep going. When God said, I think you need to sit it out and come stay in your corner, I'm like, no, I can see through one eye. I'm going to keep working on stuff. The enemy wants you to keep trying to work in your own strength so he can keep calling you a loser. He can so he can wear you out. So he can see everything you doing is not working because it's nothing that I do. It's all on God. Writing this book is just a way, is a platform for God to come through and show his blessings, his miracles, his signs, his wonders, to become a best-selling author. I had to write the book. So this is just a platform. This is another, I'm the vessel, and I created something and put it here and say, God bless it. God bless it. Jesus, every time he did something, he held it up to the Father and prayed to feed the 5,000, the 4,000. He prayed up to God to bring Lazarus forth. He prayed and he said, God, now you do it. Because here's the stage. Here's the thing for you to perform. You do it, God. Right? And it says, so when we keep trying to go and do things and instead of resting in God, because zenith also means rest. We don't rest in God. And we got to understand, when we rest in God, that's where we reach out and touch the hem of his garment in that quiet time. The Sabbath was created for men. It was created for us to rest. To get repose, to be reset, to gain our strength back. So we are not worn out. Zenith also means rest. And the Sabbath was instilled in the beginning of creation for us, not for God. He's a God who doesn't slumber. He doesn't sleep. He doesn't need a nap. We probably do all the time. Jesus showed his human nature when he slept in the boat. But then when they woke him up and he silenced the winds and the wave and he calmed everything, he showed he was fully God and fully man. And his fully man self relied on the Father and said, I'm not about to drown in this boat. Somebody give me a paddle. And we forget we got Jesus in the boat with us. I forget. Let me talk about myself, because I was crying, sniffling last night. And it's right. And so it's to weaken us even more by not submitting ourselves and our feelings to the Lord, our creator, our image maker, the one who made us the epic center. A way to communicate with him. We don't come and communicate with him. We try to work through emotions and feelings with our own strength. Yet Satan will use us to communicate with God, but we won't use the opportunity to communicate with God. We'll just let Satan send a message to God. Look at this one. This is why the Lord said to Satan when he came to the court and he said, what you been down there doing? Nothing. Chilling out there, whatever, to and fro. But God is the one who put Job in the fight. God picked Job as his fighter. And he said, have you considered my servant Job? Because Satan was out here saying, all your people that you talk about sovereignty and all that, they lightweight. I'm just tossing them. Whatever. Light work. And then the Lord says, have you considered my servant Job? And when he said that, he put Job in the fight. Job didn't request to be in the fight, because I didn't. He didn't request, he didn't enlist himself. The Lord enlisted him. But when you believe in the Lord and you worship him and you serve him, you already enlisted in his army, so he could pick whatever fighter. He said, have you considered my servant Job? And that's what Satan said, but you got a hedge around him. And God said, I will remove it. Do whatever you want, take whatever you want, but you can't kill him. Don't touch a hair on his head. Job wanted to ask God, why you ain't kill me in my mama womb? So much was going on in Job. So much was going on. And it says, but he will not curse God. He will not serve Satan. He will not. What Job demanded, he demanded an audience with his king. He demanded to communicate with God. Do you know to go to communicate with God? Satan uses us to communicate with, uses us to go through us to communicate with God, but we're able to go right to God, into the Holy of Holies, and communicate with him. Satan can't do that. We can go right in there. The veil is torn and we won't do it. We'll keep working and complaining and doing everything else. And so yet Satan will use us to communicate with God, to attempt to mock him, to say he is not sovereign. We as man, as the zenith of creation, of God's creation, succumb instead of subdued. And we subdued when we rest in God. We subdue when we zenith, when we understand that zenith is the place where we get to rest in God. That's where we get power from. That's why Jesus says in Matthew, it refers to Matthew 11:28, come to me all those who labor and who are heavy laden, It means to cause or permit one to cease from any movement or labor in order to recover and collect your strength, because those thoughts was beating you up, and the enemy's like, yeah, why it's not your time? Why it's not your time? Why it's not time? Because you don't understand that you are the zenith of God creation, and God lives in another dimension, and you have not yet walked and come into that place. You have not come into the time of God. So this is why Satan works from the zenith of God creation, to disrupt communication of the epic center by hardening our hearts through unbelief, to get us not to believe God. So that if we don't believe God, we don't run to our strong tower. We don't go to him. It's to get us to not believe God, despite us seeing him always showing us who he is. Satan wants to disrupt our memory of God's track record, so we won't enter into the rest that is designed specifically for us. Remember in Hebrews 3, he said, oh God, he said that your fathers upset me, made me angry with wrath. That's why they was wandering in the wilderness for 40 years. It wasn't a 40-year journey. We know that it was a 3-day journey, and they turned it into a 40-year journey because God had to keep taking them in circles, and those circles are cycles, until he tried to get all that unbelief out, because he was taking them to a place that he needed them, that the place was still occupied. The promised land was still occupied. And he said, I need them to rid them of them people. But if I send them there, they're going to be done up. They're going to be destroyed because of their unbelief. And they don't know that I'm backing them. We see that in Numbers with Joshua and Caleb. We see that. They got the grapes. They brought back evidence of what God said was in the land. And they said, but we look like grasshoppers. They're going to kill us. Joshua and Caleb said, no, the Lord said they're going to be all right. Let's get them a bite. So that we won't enter the rest that is designed specifically for us to regain strength and to repose, to be reset like a diamond. Sometimes zenith is talking, and repose is talking about resetting something, right? Last year was September reset. He wears us out through emotionally and mentally in our bowels, meaning our seat of emotion, mind, will, and emotion, through cycles to try and get us to repeat the circling, like through cycles to try. Satan tries to get us to repeat the cycle, the circling, like in the wilderness through unbelief, like the children of Israel. Have you ever seen a dog chase its tail? It's like this, not knowing this is tail, and his tail is hitting. Boom, 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 boom. You chasing your tail. He wants you to keep going in circles. He wants what God said. It only should have took you 2 years to be 80 years. And then, but you don't even make it to 80 because you're stressed out. You die of a heart attack. Whatever, right? He said, yo, if you pass this time, if you pass this cycle, if you don't do the same thing, you go through here. How many times have the children of Israel passed the same wilderness over and over, and they still didn't get it? And even through that, the Lord was still faithful. He was still feeding them. He still didn't let their clothing wear out. And they still didn't believe. It's our unbelief. It hardens our heart to try and get us to repeat the circling, like in the wilderness, through unbelief, like the children of Israel. So God said, why? You asking me why? Why? It's the why. God had them circle. It's why God had them circle, because their unbelief would not have allowed them to take the land in belief that he had already given them. The belief in him was weak. So was their mind, will, and emotion. They will go astray from him. This is why he said they always went astray in their heart in unbelief. The Lord says, I gave you a land. It's the promised land. There's some people in it. I'm going to get you. You're going to have to get them up out of there. And he said, but the land is yours. Picture the Lord telling you that this house is yours. This car is yours. That something is yours, but somebody's there and you got to go kick them out. And you're like, well, they're bigger than me. How am I going to kick them out? And God said, but I'm with you. I'm going with you. I need you to get them out, though. You're going to kick them out. Don't worry about it. If we even read the book of Joshua, Joshua got up so old in age that the Lord started to clear the land for him. We don't believe God. If God says something is yours, it's yours, and we got to walk in it as if it is ours. If the Lord says you're blessed, you're blessed. If the Lord calls you an author, you're a best-selling author, you're a best-selling author. If the Lord said you're a six-figure business owner, you're a six-figure business owner. And y'all, I'm not just saying this because we constantly get tossed to and fro all the time, but our soul is filled with a storm of emotions, and we got to know how to calm it down, because Satan is the tempters, and he caused the waves and the waters and the wind. Like, how did Peter see the wind when the Lord called him out of the boat? No, it's illusions. He put up smoke and mirrors. You can't see no wind. You can see what the wind can do. It blows leaves, it blows papers, it blows things down, but you can't see the actual wind. But you can see the waves coming into the boat and you focusing on the wrong thing. You're not keeping your eyes straight ahead because you need to go into the presence of God. You need to go into the strong tower so you can tell your soul, bless the Lord, oh my soul. And then it's another scripture is in Psalm 42. Jackie Hill Perry made this post and she said that, what it said? She said, Martin Lloyd-Jones says, have you realized that most of our unhappiness in life is due to the fact that we are listening to our stuff instead of talking to ourselves? Meanwhile, Psalm 42 talks to our soul and tells our soul to be silent. David is like, yo, relax, be silent. And then, your soul, your mind, will, and emotions start acting crazy again. And then David starts talking to his soul like, why are you acting up? Why are you acting crazy? What's your problem? Those are the whys that you need to be asking. You need to be asking your soul, why? Let me read it. Because I'm over here asking God, why is someone telling me? He was like, you need to ask your soul, why is it tripping? Right? It's right here. David says in Psalm 42:5, why are you, he says, why are you down in the dumps, dear soul? Why are you crying the blues? Fix my eyes on God. Soon I'll be praising again. He puts a smile on my face. He's my God. Then in verse 6 and 8, it says, when my soul is in the dumps, I rehearse everything I know of you. I pull God's track record. The enemy wants to pull you away from God so you don't remember who he is. He wants you to have amnesia. That's why he's beating you upside the head senseless. Woo! Me. This word is for me. I'm just sharing, y'all. I'm just sharing. Because a lot of us is not in a sin problem. The only thing we are sinning, and it is witchcraft right now, is because we don't believe God. And unbelief have our heart hardened, and we like, why is it not more time? Why is it not more time? What? And God said, because you don't even know that you're the zenith. You're the time. You're who I'm waiting on. I've been ready. He been ready. He says, while my soul is in the dumps, I rehearse everything I know of you. Then David started talking about the things that the Lord did. Psalm 136 is a great way to keep God's track record also. Remember what he has already done for you. So why? It's the why. God had them circle in the cycle because the unbelief would not have allowed them to take the land and belief that he already had given them. Their belief in him was weak, then so was their bowels, their mind, will, and emotions. So while they had the chance to get out of bondage, they had the chance to go into the wilderness and worship him, because that's what he told Moses to tell Pharaoh, to let my people go so they can go into the wilderness and worship me. But what he didn't tell that to the children of Israel. What he told them is, I have a promised land for you filled with milk and honey, and you need to go there. But little did they know, it should have only taken them 3 days, but it was taking them 40 years. Some of them had died off. They done procreated. And the Lord said, no, I got to break some things off of you. So he had them in the cycle because they couldn't break it until they was out. And then who took the land? The new generation. Because the old generation died off by the time they was ready. God wants to bring us into a new season, the new thing, but we must first come out of the cycle. How? Through rest, through zenith, in him, through our belief. Remember, recall who he is by his word. We must be in repose. This is about the marriage to the Lamb. The enemy is after your marriage, our marriage to the Lamb, our fidelity and trust to God. It's not about the people. It's not that's around us that we think is doing it to us. It's not about the conflict. It's not even about the circumstance. This is about coming up against your marriage to the Lamb. And as the bride of Christ, we need to be in prayer, because that's how we commune with God. That's how we communicate. We need to be in prayer and worship and fasting. Eve had one job, but she messed around and she got in bed with the enemy and believed what he said before even going to her husband. And then she gave it to her husband. But we can't corrupt God, because God is holy. What is your duty? What was Eve's job assignment? What was her mantle? To trust her husband, man, and rest in his authority, and war in the spirit, and pray and enforce his authoritative word. What is your duty as the bride, the ecclesia of Christ? This is about character. Eve got out of character. Israel got out of character. When you keep going off to your own ways of unbelief, you're getting in bed with the enemy. Now you in infidelity because you don't believe God. You don't trust him. He's working out the unbelief to come out of the cycle and into the new season. He told me, he said, he was speaking to me, but I'm going to share this with some of you too, because this is for you. It's not yet your time, because God makes everything beautiful in his time. That's Ecclesiastes 3:11. We are not on God's time. We are not on God time, is why it's not our time yet. The timing we're trying to be on, which is not his character nor maturity, God is not on that kind of time. Now, he's not on that frequency. He's not on that sequence of, let me just give you what you want and you figure it out along the way. Now, granted, there's some things that you're going to have to learn and God's not going to tell you everything, but there's a certain level of maturity and sonship before we can even achieve a thing. And he was like, you're not even mature enough for that. You still don't believe who I am. And you've seen this. We've seen this. It's the same thing that happened with the disciples after I told you, after they blessed Jesus fed the 5,000, he came walking on the water. They thought he was a ghost, and he's like, yo, be of good cheer, bro. It's me. And they marveled at who he was. And he looked and he said, even after the loaves, their heart was still hardened through unbelief. They still didn't have a realization of who he was. They were still babies. They were still babies in the faith. It was like their sonships. They wasn't even Helios. God is trying to get a lot of us to become really mature to Helios. Some of us is still in our teenage years. There's levels of sonship. And we are not there. There's Telios. There's Huios and there's Tekon. But right here, Nepios is a baby. You still need milk. Padon, you're a toddler. Right? You start to slowly grasp who God is as Father. As a baby, you know your mama voice, you know that comforting, you know that, you may know your daddy, you know the voice, but you also know, just feed me, Seymour, give me milk, give me milk, give me milk, give me milk. Then you start to become a toddler, you start to do your sensory training, you see colors, mama, dada, right? And you start to slowly grasp who God is as Father. Okay, this is a house, this is where I live, I know I'm safe here, okay, this is where I should come. Then you become Tekon, you become a teenager, and you become really hard-headed. Come on, we know teenagers, they think they know it all. And when I'm talking about teenagers, I'm talking about from preteen all the way until you about 30, till you at least hit your 30s, 29, teenage mentality. You swear you know everything. I've been there. I'm 38 now, and I don't know nothing. Every day I learn I don't know nothing. I know that from my Father in heaven. I know that from my mama that's here. They always prove to me I don't know nothing. I just know just enough. I'm still coming into. You take on, you're a teenager. But then there's Huios. Huios means a bit more mature, right? You start to come into the priesthood, right? You start to become a full-grown son. A full-grown son, right? And then you have Telios, which is even more maturity, more like elders, right? This is the place where you want for nothing. Telios means is a part of it is finished. You want nothing. You have completeness. You understand that you're not attached to the things. You become more perfected. You consummate with human integrity and virtue of God. You become more like Christ. You become into zenith. You become the time that all of creation been waiting for, so you can go out into the world, into your spheres of influence, and take that mountain of that place in creation that's been groaning, waiting for you to be revealed. So while we're like, God, why is not the time? Why is not the time? Why is not the time? Right? It's about coming against the wife. We seen wives get out of character. What's that Tyler Perry movie when her husband was a pharmacist and she was dressing a little frumpy, and she got a new job or a new boss, and he had all this money, and she started sleeping with him because he got her out of character and started whispering sweet nothings in her ear, and she messed around and got AIDS in the end, and he went and moved, the good husband went and moved on and married somebody else, but he still served her. Y'all don't remember that? And she told that story. It was about herself. You get out of character, you're going to catch something that don't belong to you if you would have stayed faithful, stayed in fidelity. But in your infidelity is going to have you getting up with some things you ain't want that you can't shake, and it's going to be a death sentence. It's about your character as a wife. Wives have down seasons in marriage. Marriage is not always perfect. A lot of us women is wanting marriage, but you don't even know how to say in the marriage to the Lamb. You don't know about fidelity. You praying for a husband, but you can't even be committed to your husband, man, because everything is not going your way when you want to go. I'm talking to me. If this is for you too, grab it. Right? He is working out the unbelief to come out of the cycle and into a season. We must walk in submissive wonder to be in his dimension, because he is outside of time. He has made everything beautiful in his time, in his dimension of eternity. Why? Because he has set eternity in our hearts, but we won't reach the eternity in our heart if our heart is hardened through unbelief. Y'all, I need y'all to catch this revelation. In our seat of emotions, of our character, of our souls, of our bowels, of our compassion, of knowing that God is filled with compassion. He only has plans of us of good and not evil. Y'all love Jeremiah 29:11. It's tatted all over y'all all the time. Y'all better come on. We got to come on. I'm not going to say y'all, we. The place of activity of our mind, the place of activity of our character, the place of activity of our will. And only he knows the beginning from the end. So I know many of us is taking chances. I just want to encourage somebody, because here I am, and I might do a part 2 follow-up on belief and more of this, but I want you to know you have been taking chances, and keep showing up for those chances. And one day you're going to show up as Helios, as a son, and then you're going to graduate to Telios. So while you're saying, God, why is it not my time? Why is it not my time? You're asking the wrong why. God said, you are the time. You are the zenith of my creation. I'm waiting for you to become and come into it so you can go and free other areas of creation. Hello. So when you're asking God, why, I want you to go to Psalm 42 and ask and see how the psalmist is asking his soul, like, why are you tripping? Because in the beginning of Psalm 42, right? So I want y'all to read Psalm 42. I want y'all to read Psalm 42, Psalm 62. And 65, because zenith is about it's about waiting also. Psalm 62:1 says, God, the one and only, I wait as long as he says. To be in repose means to wait. You got to learn to wait quietly. And sometimes your emotions, you can't wait quietly, so you go back and you try and wait a bit more. Waiting right here is to sit in silence, to listen for God's voice, to be in repose, to be set in repose. It's to listen for God's voice, because you're hearing so many other voices, and even your own, the enemies. You got to listen for God's voice. You know he comes in a still, quiet voice, but you got to get quiet. You got to sit in silence. You got to go into the presence of God. They who abide under the shadow of the Most High God, right? Go under his wings and go into his peace, embracing God's calm. Embrace his calm, saying, God, calm the storm. Jesus calmed the storm. Every time they was on water, he said, quiet. This is also anticipating deliverance with trust. You anticipate with trust, with fidelity, that God is going to get you out of this. But also silence is a praise to God when you quiet yourself. That's why, Psalm 46:10 says, be still, know that I am God. You got to know who he is. He said, you don't know me. You're not that intimate with me. You got to come into the intimate times, intimacy. So in Psalm 62, it says, God, the one and only, I wait as long as he says. Everything I need comes from him. So why not? These are the whys we need to be asking. Not why, God, why? He said, you sound like why, Nina. And I did. You sound like Nepios. You ain't even tech on. You is a Nepios. You ain't even paid on. You a baby. Why. And I did. And I do. Because I'm learning how to quiet our soul. To become a mature son is to know how to sit in silence and wait for God and listen for his voice when everything else is telling you that you are a failure. It's telling you that you ain't right. You tried everything. You shown up for chances and it's still not your time. And it's saying it's not your time. It's like, no, you have not yourself come into zenith, because you are the zenith of God creation. And you have not come to that mature state. You have not come to that high point. And that is the thing. It's that unbelief that hardened our hearts. So we read in the word, we're eating the word, we're fasting, we're doing all this, but it's getting choked out by worry every time, and it's not getting planted on good ground. Some of it sometimes does, so you see a little something come up, but the majority of it is being choked out. The word is not being planted. Something that I wasn't doing that I'm going to start doing, that I just started today, is after I used to read the word, get the revelation, get up out of my quiet time, like, oh, that was so good, go talk about it, whatever. But the word either fell on rocky ground, the birds of the air came and got it, or it got planted, but it shot up too fast and it was weeds and the sun burnt it out, or it gets choked out like somebody, like Debo choking out somebody. You get what I'm saying? So I started today to pray that, Lord, let this word be planted firmly and deeply rooted in my heart. Let me have it and let me eat it, because I have it. You know what? I got to learn to close my prayers like that, because we don't really understand how close we are, how much we are like Matthew 13. We are the grounds, and we're not doing what the Lord has been telling us to do. Right? So we're asking the wrong kinds of why. It's no problem to ask God why, but don't question God. But you can ask God questions. But when you ask God questions, you shouldn't be listening to your thoughts. You need to be talking to yourself, right? You need to stop listening to yourself and start talking to your soul, to your mind, will, and emotions. Like, what is that thought? So David said, so why not? Right? Then verse 5 and 6 in Psalm 62 says, God, the one and only, I wait as long as he says everything I hope for comes from him. So why not? Then we have Psalm 65 and 1. It says, silence is a praise to you, Zion dwelling. Silence is a praise to you, Zion dwelling God, and also obedience. So silence is a praise to God, and it's also obedience, because it's a command when he said, be still and know that I am God. You hear the prayers in it all. You hear the prayers in it all. Amen. I just still want to highlight something, right? You got to learn how to still your stormy souls. I'm wrapping this up because I've been on here too long, I feel like. Right? But David says this. The psalmist says this. In Psalm 62, 1 through 2. It says, for God alone my soul waits in silence. For him comes my salvation. That's Hosanna. Hosanna is not the name of God. It's what he does. It's salvation. Salvation is also prosperity. Bring you whole. Make you whole well. It says, he alone is my rock and my salvation, my fortress. I shall not be greatly shaken. For God alone. And then it says, he starts talking to his soul. Oh, my soul, wait in silence, for my hope is in him. Because your soul is getting riled up, your mind, will, emotion. And then you got to tell your soul, like, shh, relax, wait, be still. And your being still is a praise to God. I didn't know that was praise to God. So stop thinking that it's not your time. You have not yet come into who you are, and that's why it's not your time. Even though the chances are showing up, you are not mature enough. I pray this helps somebody today. I really do, because it helped me. Our unbelief is hardened in our heart, and I will do the best I can to come on and do a part 2, because there's so much more. I got so much notes here from the past 3 days and just the revelation of what God is doing. But don't forget to join us for our September Word of the Month, which is going to happen tomorrow night. But mostly, your devotional time in this time of enduring, in this time of fiery seasons, is not the time to read your word less. It's not your time to not go and pray. It's not your time to not cry out to God. Feel the emotions, submit those emotions and all that to God, so you can resist the devil, because he's on your heel to get you to serve him and his parallel government. He know you the epic center, and because he's attacking you because you got the image of God, and he know who you possibly could become, because if you got the image of God, that means you come into greatness. You come into the image of the Son of God. But you have to get to know him intimately. You have to know Jesus. But you could get a copy of Fire Torch Prayers, the Priestcraft Volume 1. I actually pray this often. I pray these prayers and I pray other prayers, but this will definitely help you with your devotion time when you don't know what to pray. It's 15 powerful prayers, and in here is the position of is the arrows of strategy and position to know how to get to the place of joy, to get you back in position. I love y'all with the love of Christ. I pray that this bless someone. Send this to someone to encourage them. Your unbelief is what's keeping you in a cycle, and the Lord is trying to get that out of you. It's not a sin. You're not fornicating. You're not doing all the other things, but you do have a hardened heart of unbelief. And according to Hebrews 3, it says, according to Hebrews 3, let me just read it real quick to leave y'all with this. I know I keep saying I'm going. This video is probably longer than I expected it is. Hebrews 3 says this. 3:11. Right? I'm gonna start 3:11. It says, today please listen, don't turn a deaf ear as in the bitter uprising. That time of wilderness testing. Even though they watched me at work for 40 years, your ancestors refused to let me do it my way. Over and over, they tried my patience, and I was provoked, also provoked. I said right here, they'll never keep their minds on God. They refuse to walk down my road. Exasperated, I vowed, they'll never get to where they're going and never be able to sit down and rest. You'll never be able to get to Zenith. You'll never be able to get to the promise, because in the promise you're going to rest, but there's still work, because when they took the land, they still had to do some work, but it's a rest. And God said, you'll never get to rest because you keep going astray in your heart, in your mind, your will, and your emotions. I love y'all with the love of Christ. I pray this has been a blessing to you. Please go ahead, get a copy of Fire Torch Prayers, The Priestcraft, Volume 1. It'll help you with daily devotional and prayers. Till next time, y'all.
Yes, y'all, Jesus man be ballin'. Ain't talking Jordan, corner rocks Spalding. Enemy, Bruiser Hill, now we on our balls.